So welcome to the Herkimer Central School District Instructional Technology Support. This is our Google Forms 2.0 virtual training, and today we're going to be talking about some things, more advanced things that you can do with Google Forms. For example, in today's training, we're going to talk about creating different question types, the sections, options, answers leading to different destinations, quizzes, and some examples of these. So let's get started. Let's look into our Google Forms. So we're going to start our Google Forms, just a normal Google form as always. And one of the first things we want to note is that we do have the option to create sections. And what the purpose of sections is so especially if you have some students that need to focus on only one thing, that's a really great way to make use of sections. However, just note that if you're giving students a quiz that as of right now, that there's no way for them to stop in the middle of a quiz and then resubmit it. So therefore, if you are going to do something really long, make sure your students have plenty of time to finish something up as far as that goes. So here we have our different question types. Now, normally if you type in or if you add an image, Google Forms will try to autofill what type of question you are filling in. So I can just kind of pick any image here and kind of throw it in. Google will try to make you fill this in. So right now it's multiple choice, but describe this logo. It may change it to a short answer. See, so now it changes it to a paragraph. It's based on knowing that. Obviously, we all know that all that stuff is that we can do stuff like that. Now we can do description, which would add in kind of a little bit more to your image, or if let's say your question didn't have something that you wanted to have for your photo, or you wanted to be able to annotate where you got those photos from, description's a great option. Response validation, you can also enter this in if you have to have a length, if there needs to be a minimum or maximum character amount. So let's say you wanted students to at least answer this in 500 characters or less, or more, excuse me, or 500 characters or less, you can do that as well. And there's also a custom error text. You normally right now it'll just say you can't. Your answer needs to be short, and that's just kind of a feedback that would flop back to them so they could see right away. So we also have some things of multiple choice. We have check boxes where you would have, this is like if you have a multiple choice question, but there's more than one right answer, you would do a checkbox answer. Drop down, you're going to list all the possible options. So a lot of times for like grades, I have students ask me what grade they're in, or tell me what grade they're in, and I'll do a drop down. So you see it in this method. The students see it as a box they can pull down and answer from. You can have the students file uploads. So if you were doing something and you wanted students to have something come in, you can do that. The 1 to 5 scale, usually I use for like least to best, but only problem with this scale is they don't allow you to label each option. So you can label option 0, best, and label option 5, worst, but that's about it. There's no like in between. You can't do agree, disagree, slightly degree with a linear scale like this. Multiple choice grid, one right answer, one right side of the grid. Checkbox grid is kind of like the multiple answers to that grid. So you could have one answer, more than one answer, so on and so forth. They can also enter in their answer as a date or a time if you're doing something along those lines. So there's some of the different question types that you can put in there. What I can also do is I can add in other questions by simply hitting this question, or I can add in a new section. Now here we can have new sections, which is nice if you're doing perhaps maybe the first section of your test is multiple choice questions, and the second part of your test is all short answers, and it's just one way you can divide it based on that. But what I like to do sometimes is I can have their answer go to where I want them based on what their answer was. So for example, let's say I have multiple choice question here. Drill. So now we have some multiple choice questions options here. We're going along, and we want them to go somewhere based on what their right answer is. So I would need to make up a bunch of sections first, and we could obviously send them to different sections. Or what I do sometimes with a choose your own adventure style is I've got all these sections pushed out, and here we have, when you answered the question, it will send you to a new section. So if they if they chose the first action, it sends them to the next section. If they open an email, if they choose one, it goes to the next section. But if they choose this answer, it's going to take them to section 7, which you see is down here. And then again, we've got the options to changing where they go. And that's a very simple thing that we can put in if we want to have a choose your own adventure style, or if we want to give students kind of a nudge in the right direction. So let's say this is an actual test question, and here I want them to, if they get the right answer, to go on to the next section. Then we can change that. So if they don't get it right, it'll take them to a section that'll explain the answer, give them a reason why their answer is not right. So how do we do that? So we go back to our blank Google form here. We're going to have a question here. Let's say, what is 2 times 2? I don't know. And we're going to go with our choices of 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay. Now, what we want to do is we're going to want to change. We want to go to section based on their right answer. So if they get the right answer of 4, we're going to continue the next section. If they get the wrong answer, we can take them to another section. Answer for now. And I can just say, remember that whatever my clue might be, 2 times 2 is multiplication. I don't know. And I can send them back to my section 1 after the section, which is no real question. It's just what the students can see. Students can see is just a bunch of questions that's going to take them back to this section. So a little cumbersome, but really great for when you're doing a few questions, maybe 5 or 6 questions you want to make sure students are hitting. You're going to want to have only 1 question per section when you do this, because these answers based on the destination based on your answer is going to be something that you're going to want to have set up. So if I do that, section 3, so let's see what this looks like to students. So we'll just take this, and I don't know, we're going to pick the wrong answer, hit next. It says, hey, remember, here we go, remember 2 times 2 is multiply. We go hit next, and it brings us right back here. If I hit 4 and hit next, takes me onto the new section that I created and didn't have anything put in for it. So that's something that you can do to have students set up so that they can only go through and move on if they're getting the right answers. And so that's a really nice option. Like I said, another way that I use this is using a choose your own adventure style method. So in other words, the story progresses based on what you pick, because I was really into choose your own adventure books when I was a kid. So let me show you how we did that again. Let me just start over here. We're going to start out with a brand new form. A lot of times when you're doing this, it really helps to kind of map out how many slides you need. You can kind of figure out how many you're going to need based on your questions or your number of questions. If you are going to create a very long test, I wouldn't suggest it, again, because right now, currently, there is no save option. But what you can do is instead of making it a quiz or if you do make a quiz, you don't have to limit it to one response, so students can pick up where they left off or fill in their responses from where I have them printed out, have them saved, whatever. So there's those options there. So again, to make one of these things where it goes where you want, have your question here. So this would be question number 1. Have your option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4. I'm gonna go down here to this 3 dots, show description, go to section based on answer. This option will not appear until you have another section already put in there. So whatever my correct answer is going to be go to section 2. So here to be my next question. Here, throw in another section. Let's go wrong answer for number 1. And question 1. So now we got that goes to the next question. This goes to section 2. This goes to section 2. This goes to section 2. So now we've got, if they pick option 1, they can continue on to the test with section 3. If they get the wrong answer, they're going to go slotted right here where you can put a clue in, or you can give a little hint or a help. If you really wanted to go really far beyond, takes a little while to set up, but I've seen one set up before and it's worked out really well. Based on what the answer was, they had a different section clue for each student before they could go on and guess. So, because if I'm picking option 2, then I'm like, maybe it's option 3. I go back, I'm still getting the same clue. Might not help me out. Then I might be just hitting second guessing. Other things to know, that some of the new things with quizzes, when we can make something a quiz. We can turn on a lock mode, so the students can only open. The students aren't allowed to open tabs or other applications while taking this quiz. It locks them into this form. It is managed by us, so therefore everything else should be gone. You can choose when to release the grade, either immediately or later after manual review. So if you have a writing section, typically you do it later after. If it's all multiple choice, you're going to do it immediately. Respondents, you can choose to let them see missed questions, correct answers, or point values. It's up to you what you want to allow the students to see. A lot of times I don't let them see the correct answers, especially if I'm allowing them to have makeups or whatever. So there's that. Those are options there. And again, you can always preview what's going on to find out what you're doing. If you're doing it right or wrong, I can go to option 2. Find out that I was at the wrong answer for 1. I can go next, come back, try option 1, go next. And the only drawback here is that if this is a quiz, that obviously it's grooming them to get the right answer. You as a teacher wouldn't be able to see how often they put in the right answers or wrong answers. So just keep that in mind. A lot of times this is really great for like homeworks or study guides, something along those lines. Because if we go to the responses, I didn't publish it yet, so I won't be able to see that. Responses are going to look very similar to the way that if you were going to be doing it as a normal or basic Google form. Do I have other examples over here? No, that's it. So those are some of the upper level things that you can do with Google Forms. I just want to be able to show everybody real quickly how to create different sections, send options to different sections based on their work, and a couple of different ideas that you can do for that, either whether it's guiding them to the right answer in a quiz, or whether it's having them create a choose your own adventure type style book, or maybe even a choose your own style of a section quiz. I have seen things where if we took this test and we went to, if they got question 1 wrong, it took them to an easier question 2. If they got question wrong, number 1 right, it took them to a harder question next, kind of set up like the GREs. So depending on how they're doing through the test, they either get harder questions or they get easier questions, and you can actually create a sliding grade based on that. So if you have any questions or need help setting up something like this, please let us know. We'd be more than happy to help out. Thank you for coming.